I was having an affair with a married man.
The man was engaged, you were not married. You're just running around.
I was running around breaking up homes. Those women that are really super materialistic are not matching with men that are lovely or adorable. They're matching with men that are sugar daddies.
Women don't want to take responsibility. They won't want to be accountable. They don't want to go to therapy or change.
Yeah,
it seems to me there may be some truth that with the women that these people are meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all women.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that comes from? And why do you think that so many men feel like they're just alone? From Nomad Capitalist Live 2025, where we have every room in the house, Sadia Khan is with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege.
You have been yourself in the news recently.
I have.
There's some salacious rumors swirling around.
Absolutely. And, I don't like to give anything too much light, but unfortunately, and I think I heard that you talk a little bit about this, the people who are craving what you have and are bitter that they don't have access to some of the luxuries or the kind of privileges that you might have got, they want to always take it down. So there's been some awful rumors, zero truth to any
What are the rumors?
The main rumor is that I was having an affair with a married man, which has never, ever, ever happened, or even engaged or in a relationship, man. That's
Someone
never
said
happened.
you were engaged. The guy was married.
The man was engaged.
The man was engaged. You were not married. You're just running around.
I was running around breaking up homes, which is zero truth in it. And the people behind the rumor will never be able to produce any evidence for that because they know directly that that's not true. They actually know for a fact that that's not true. But that's kind of the running game. And that I'm this side chick who charges £8,000 an hour to help marriages, even though I'm a side chick. So I don't charge £8,000 an hour. I wish. I mean, it's a great rumor to have because it kind of up to stock, but it's definitely not the case. I actually charge £500 at most per hour. And there's zero truth to the married side chick man, and people behind that rumor can never prove that. And they're trying their best to, but they can never.
So are you you're refuting it point blank?
Point blank.
You've never been with an engaged or married man?
Never, ever engaged, married, relationship. And if the people behind that rumor claim that they've spoken to this man, I would love for that man or these people to bring that man.
There was talk, you talked to the woman and she said, give it your best shot or something?
Something about that, but no, there's zero truth to a married or engaged or a relationship man to that. There's zero truth to that. And they know that. That's why they won't bring out any evidence for that. Well, they can, but there's no truth to that whatsoever. So those things that we just put it to bed. And
we're going to talk about relationships particularly in Dubai and in the emerging world. People are here to learn about how to leave the West, not just with their money and not just with their citizenship, but I think relationally as well.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about this. I mean, what do you see as the future of dating and the rumor mill in a world of not only the internet, but now AI and people are creating content?
I think it's going to get more and more difficult to find long-lasting, healthy relationships, unfortunately, because the key route towards a lot of why people stay together is having a lack of alternatives. They pick somebody, they don't really have an alternative, and they make it work because that's how, the paradigm of having too much choices, it reduces their satisfaction. So the people with the least choices tend to have the most long-lasting relationships. As people become more successful and as they have more choices and as they've got places to live, people to meet, they've got businesses, their choices become so endless. And now we're injecting AI into that. It becomes difficult to remain completely satisfied with one person for the rest of your life when you are bombarded with so many alternatives. So I think, unfortunately, it's going to get a little bit trickier for certain cohorts.
I talked last night about the miracle of birth and, me being born on one side of a lake and it's the United States, the other side is Canada. And to me, these things are accidents. And I said, it seems to me it's an accident that throughout history, the best person in the world for you happen to be right down the block. In a world of increasing, cultural understanding, it would seem like perhaps the best person for you is around the world. But to your point, how do you know when to stop? How do you know when? Oh, okay, now I found the one.
I would always just say when the person doesn't have any deal breakers. The thing is, there's always going to be better people than your partner. 100 times prettier, stronger, richer. There's going to be better people than your partner. We're going to always be able to find better. But if we use that lens, it's going to be endless. But if we use the lens of, do they have any deal breakers? And what I mean by deal breakers is any behavior that would make being married to them for a long period of time impossible. So you might have completely different values, or you might have a completely different background, or they might have different different religion, race, whatever it is that is a deal breaker for you. If that becomes a deal breaker and they have that, unfortunately, no amount of therapy or support is going to change that. So when you meet somebody who may not be the best thing ever, but they don't have any deal breakers, chances are you'll be able to have a long-lasting relationship with them.
What do you make of online culture now where a lot of men are saying women don't want to take responsibility. They won't want to be accountable. They don't want to go to therapy or change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to me there may be some truth that with the women that these people are meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all women.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that comes from? And why do you think that so many men feel like they're just alone?
I understand why they feel that way, because what's happened is that therapy and self-help is taught from the lens of a woman. So a man and women will go into therapy and they'll teach you about love languages, they'll teach you about attachment styles, it will teach you all about, how to be more loving and caring. And if you want more intimacy from your wife, you have to do more chores and you have to take away. It's all from the lens of a woman. The problem is it's not from the lens of masculinity or femininity. It's not from the lens of like actual raw, what makes men and women attached to each other. So you'll go to therapy and they say you need to listen more, you need to be more emotionally available. You basically have to become her sister that she wants to sleep with, which is an impossibility.
Yeah.
So why men are feeling like women take no accountability is because everything they're being taught, whether it's media, whether it's the therapy that they go to, or even the medicine that they take, is feminized. So in order to be approved by women, you have to almost become a woman. And in the process of getting women's approval by becoming feminine, you lose your sex appeal. So they're then stuck. So they're the nicest guys who are the kindest, do all the chores, help their women around the house, help with the children, help with the nurturing, are stuck with no intimacy because they have no sex appeal left in them. So that's why they feel so hard done by, because they're thinking by the book, I'm doing everything right. And yet I'm being overlooked or I'm being withdrawn from intimacy. If I'm married, I get no intimacy. And if I'm single, women are going for the bad guy. So I feel like women don't know.
Do women really go for the bad guy? It seems like a myth.
It is a bit of a myth.
The guy who's busting skulls and getting
what would you say? What would you say? Do they go for more bad or nice?
They want the guy that doesn't tolerate their nonsense.
Yeah.
They don't want someone going out and punching people. I think we dramatize it, particularly in the West, don't you?
Yeah, I think we dramatize it. But what I would say is that if they have a choice between bad and too nice,
they want someone who's going to lead, and they'll overcorrect.
Yeah.
Here's where I do agree with a lot of the men is, to me, you're not supposed to keep score, and you shouldn't keep score. But it does seem like, oh, you're not doing enough chores. If you're the guy who's perhaps providing or providing more financially, and you're doing a laundry list of things, particularly in the places that I live, it doesn't really even out that you should also add chores to that list. I mean, we should each be not necessarily keeping, oh, you have 100 points and I have 100 points, but there should be some semblance of we're both contributing things in our own way, not did we split the chores?
Well, I think what the key difference in Western culture compared to an Eastern culture is that the women in the West still expect men to have a particular masculine role that might be providing and taking care of the home, but they resent feminine roles, which might be cooking or cleaning. They have a complete, like, that's not my job, but your job is this. And that's where it's different to the rest of the world, where the rest of the world see it as, of course, your job is to provide. And of course, I do the chores. Of course, there's no humiliation to that. It's not seen as degrading and it's not seen as a bad thing, because doing household chores is actually a sign of self-respect. Like, you keep your house clean, you do things, you cook, you clean. It's a sign of femininity. It's actually what makes you a woman. Whereas in the West, that's seen as derogatory. So I think the reason why they don't like it, they keep scores, is because they see one as derogatory and the other one is that's just your job. They don't actually have particular jobs that they see women as being assigned to. And that's why they resent doing anything in terms of hard labor around the house.
And that's why men feel there's an asymmetry.
And there is an asymmetry, unfortunately. And there's lots of men that don't provide, and there's lots of women that split the bills and work really, really hard. So they have symmetry in that area. But the idea of, cooking, cleaning being a feminine role is severely resented in the West, whereas everywhere else in the world, they take pride in that being their role. They love the fact that you come to my house and it smells of cooking when my mum's there, or we clean the house, we keep our house clean for our men. We love that. And I say we because I'm from Pakistan. But we love the idea that you associate cooking and cleaning with us, because we're like, that's amazing. We like a woman that does that, whereas they see it as an insult. So I think they see what keeps a household balanced. They think their chores or their roles are insulting, whereas a man's roles is a given. And that's why there's an imbalance.
I thought for at least 15 years, in the West, dating is war. Who's going to win? And the guys are like, can I sleep with her before she figures it out? And the girls are like, can I extract something before he gets to sleep with me? Rather than, it seems like, you go to a lot of countries, I mean, Eastern Europe, for example, many places here in Asia, it seems, obviously men and women have disagreements, but it seems much more harmonious. And I mean, there's plenty of countries the women love their men and the men love their women. And you actually would have a hard time going there and dating.
Yeah, well, the other countries, they see dating as a form of getting married. That's all it is dating so we can marry this person. So you go into dating with that mentality. The war and the big games and stuff like that is a new concept that's just quite exclusively in the Western world. The rest of the world sees dating as an opportunity to meet the love of your life, get married and have kids. So it's a goal associated with it, with a bigger purpose. Whereas the goal in Western dating is who can win, who can, who can break up with who faster, who can extract, who can leave quicker, who can have the least heartbreak and cause the most heartbreak. So the goals are just quite different when it comes to dating.
We're going to come back to Dubai in a moment. That's the place a lot of people are going. And they say, oh, is that different? But you were touching on, where can someone, get together with a woman, let's say. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, people will go to some of these countries. Should they try and find someone that is well-heeled, well-educated, perhaps financially successful, they have a business? Or what you'll see sometimes is guys go and they find someone, oh, she's a simple girl from a village. I mean, to find, how someone should handle that.
My honest advice to people is to check people's families rather than their education. Everything. The main thing is their families. Now, if you go, whether she's a village or whether she's a successful entrepreneur, how was her father treated in her home is a really good indicator of what kind of wife she'll be. And I tend to give the advice that women in general work better when they have experience being a daughter first, then they go on to being a wife. Without the experience of being a daughter, skipping that and going straight to wife is a very difficult process for men and women. What I mean by being a daughter is she grew up in a home where the father loved, poured into, looked after, protected, provided for her. Provided doesn't mean luxury. It just means that was his role. Once she's received that, she learns to trust men and then go on and give the same love and adoration back. If you go into environments where the family is broken, whether she's from Eastern European, Western European, wherever she is, chances are her ability to love and adore and respect and trust is going to be a bit broken. So I would say try and look at family environments. And it just so happens in other cultures, fathers are loved and adored a lot more than in certain cultures. And so if you can go where the family is strong, you'll be okay wherever you go.
So let's start with this. Here's one thing I think people get wrong when they first go to some of the places that we'll talk about. Let's take Eastern Europe, for example.
Yeah.
You'll see women who dress very provocatively, beautiful people. They can dress sexy, especially when you go out at night. And people will conflate that with being somewhat liberal. And I think the women in those countries actually tend to be much more conservative, much less promiscuous. I understand that men in the West, they're just saying that. This is what they're telling you. I've never been someone to ask, how many people have you been with? But the guys there do. And I think that they're, for all the sex appeal, what I found is people actually are still more conservative in what they want. And I think a lot of the Western guys, they don't put that together because to them, dressing nicely or showing cleavage must mean sexual availability.
I think they've got a skewed vision of it because Russia's huge. Eastern Europe is huge. The women that you see coming out of it, and maybe in the Western world or whatever it is, aren't necessarily a representation of the values that they actually have in Russia. So, same like with most cultures. Russian values is very conservative. It would be a scandal if a woman, like even when you see girls that, maybe post provocatively online or, sell pictures or whatever it is, that in Russia, that would be a huge, huge scandal. Maybe they get away with it if they live somewhere else. So the actual culture in these countries is very family oriented. There's religion there. And the main thing that makes them more conservative is you can have it you can sleep with them, whatever, but it has to be tied to commitment. They don't have sex outside of commitment. They don't just be sleeping with you and then you don't want to get married, you don't want to settle down. That just won't happen. So in that sense, they are a lot more conservative.
What are some of the other things that you think someone coming from the West needs to adapt to?
when dating in
when going to these new cultures. You can't bring the Western values to the new place.
Yeah, the main thing that you need to understand is that the skills and tools you've been learned in America are just not going to work in other countries. And what I mean by that is what happens with a lot of Western men, they tend to date maybe Eastern European women or Colombian women or South American women. Those women are used to men making decisions with or without their approval. They're used to men saying, listen, we're going to go live in this place, or we're going to live there, we're going to go this is going to be the budget. They might argue, kick and scream, but they're used to men that just make the final decision.
And they want you to stay steady throughout the kicking and screaming, and maybe there's some pissiness. And so, right. So you might have to accept that there's going to be a bit more moodiness at times, and you're supposed to contain it.
You're supposed to still make the executive decision.
Correct.
What Western men will sometimes make the mistake of doing is becoming obedient. They'll see this tantrum and think, oh my gosh, she's having a tantrum. Okay, whatever she says, okay, fine. You want to move to Miami? I'll move to Miami. Oh, you want to live in this high rise? I'll book this high rise. Well, she's really
Where do you want to go to dinner?
Yeah, that's the problem they make. So they go to these cultures where the women might have a tantrum, but they still want the man to make the executive decision. They might complain and say, I want a Bentley, when really he is thinking, let's just get a regular Range Rover. She might say she wants that. She actually wants you to make the executive decision. The mistake Western men make is they're so used to Western women who genuinely have the final say that they allow women's emotions to run their households when they go abroad. And women are not actually seeking that elsewhere. They're seeking you to contain their emotional reactions. And how you contain their emotional reactions is when they're having their tantrum, you still remember the vision. You still remember the budget of the household. You still remember where you want to live. She might be reacting right now, but in the long run, you should have the foresight to know what the better
And she'll
decision.
respect you more. So and in Eastern Europe, you're going to be, there's a lot more pursuit. That's the area. I was just talking to a friend of mine. He knows the Eastern European women, and we were talking about it. He said they're going to expect more pursuit, where they're going to put you through that test. And so I think that what a Western guy would say is, why am I putting up with this nonsense? No, you have to make sure you contain that nonsense, because you're the one saying, oh, I don't like these frigid people in the West. Well, this is the opposite of frigid. Did you really want the opposite of? Maybe you want to go back.
Yeah, the opposite is very expressive, very demanding in some places, but they want to know that you will still make the right decision. So if she's being excessively demanding, which can happen in some cultures, and really excessively demanding, she'll only respect you when you rein in the demands. And if you're so scared to lose her that you just keep submitting and being obedient, she will replace you for a more masculine man, not a richer man, but a more masculine man, because they're actually looking for the man that can contain that emotional reactions rather than the man that submits to it.
There's a big talk of the concept of hypergamy in Western male-centric, dating content these days. What do you make of that?
I would say hypergamy is defined incorrectly by, the common social media world. What they see as a man that's richer, smarter, more intelligent, he gets with a girl, she's now hypergamous. But if we use the example of somebody like Jeff Bezos and with Lauren Sanchez, on paper, she's hypergamous. But the reality is she's far smarter than he is. She was able to get him to get a divorce, get married to her. She's able to outsmart him in a second.
Are you supporting Lauren Sanchez?
I'm not. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't say I support Lauren Sanchez, but I would definitely say she's 100 times smarter than Jeff Bezos, 100 times. And the reason being is this is not her first time. She's been married to a rich man, divorced rich man after rich man after rich man. And her ability to get really successful men to buy into the trap and leave what they're doing and fall for her and then invest in her regardless of her track record.
Is that a good thing, though?
It shows you female hypergamy. It's a great example of how no matter how smart and intelligent you are, if you are submissive to women,
Do you think he's submissive to her?
Absolutely. What kind of man would ever get a divorce that cost him $30 billion to go be with a woman who is already married at the time with a really rich man who's done this several times, unless he's submissive?
Do you think it'll last?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. I don't think it will last. I think that, well, to be fair, who am I to say? Yeah, this is to each their own. But I would say is that Lauren Sanchez is the smartest woman when it comes to hypergamy. When it comes to this stuff, she's the smartest because she allows a man to think that he's the running the show. She allows a man to think he's the successful, he's the trophy. She, behind the scenes, runs everything. And that's what I think true hypergamy, what men think on paper, he's the most successful one, he can have a woman in the world, blah, blah. True women who are smart realize that their ability to use their own sex appeal, they can get any man to be submissive to her. She's not hypergamous if he's submissive.
I don't buy into this concept of oh, rich men get all the women.
Yeah.
I don't think there's plenty of boring rich men with no charisma.
Yeah.
There's plenty of trust fund kids who are whiny brats. I don't think women want them. I would you agree? I think it's men who they built something, who've probably the harder knocks, the better. That's what I can't speak to the United States anymore, but certainly in the rest of the world, it's have you bled?
Yeah, I would say, look, if I was to guess, and I would check the DMs of maybe somebody like Elon Musk compared to the average personal trainer who looks really ripped and stuff, I would imagine the personal trainer probably gets more women. And the reason I would say that is rich, successful, intelligent all means nothing if a woman is not attracted to you. All of those amazing traits, successful, rich, built something, intelligent, all of those great traits, the prerequisite for a woman to wanting all of that she has to be attracted to you. And the quickest way to make women attracted to you is to have some natural sex appeal. So have that. So you can be the richest, most successful man, but without that ingredient, you're limiting your pool. But injecting that ingredient, even if you don't have all those other ingredients, you'll still access more women.
Don't you think the guys who are complaining about, oh, the girls with the trainer, let most of the girls go with the trainer. There are certainly women who love what Elon Musk does and his passion for what he does. And I would imagine if you're with Elon Musk, he's probably pushing you aside plenty of the time because he wants to go build a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And that attracts people who want his passion for what he does.
It is.
Why not just get rid of all the people chasing the trainers?
Because here's the reason why the guys want the girls that chase the trainers. Because the guys that chase men chase the trainers tend to be give more intimacy. That's the key ingredient men actually want from women, is the women that are sexually available.
I would say respect also.
Respect as well. Yeah, respect with that. Now, if Elon Musk might attract a lot of women, but usually if those women are attracted to him because of his mind and because of his success, they're not thinking, oh my God, I really want to get intimate with him. So he has a pool of women.
So how do you put that between people in the global South cultures that do want to get married? Mm-hmm. Are they more likely to want to be genuinely with someone like Elon Musk, who's the good provider? I've met over the years people, I love a good provider. That's very serious. Yeah. Versus the woman who wants Chris Brown.
Well, I would say culture does matter here, because when women are able to provide for themselves, come from stable homes, come from stable backgrounds, when they have all of those traits, like a Madonna, for example, who has her own money, and Mariah Carey has her own money, her own success, everything, all the survival mechanisms are gone. They have the luxury of just picking men they're attracted to. It's as simple as that. It goes back to that very narrow, I just pick a man that I'm super attracted to. But when women are not in that position, they need a man that they admire more than anything else. They skip the attraction and focus on admiration. Whereas when women have built something of themselves, which is a lot of women in the West, they actually can forego admiration and focus on attraction. So I'd say that in other cultures, they focus a lot on the man that they can admire rather than just the man they're attracted to.
Let's talk about Dubai. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, perhaps even here at Nomad Capitalist Live, are saying, oh, that's the tax-friendly place to go. Yeah. That's the lifestyle hub. And yet a lot of people say it is a minefield for dating. Dating is war there.
Yeah, it really is. And I'll tell you why. One of the key things that you'll see in Dubai that you don't see anywhere else, and I say this as a woman who lives in Dubai, and, I love Dubai, absolutely. I have to make this very clear, because I'm not just saying, everyone thinks I'm sponsored by Dubai because of how much I love it. I happen to really, really love it, and I really enjoy it. But what I would say is, for the dating scene, as a successful man, one of the things that's happened in Dubai that makes women hard to connect with is they have the ability to just be with men that they're not attracted to, who are simply there that is successful. Now, whenever a woman has the ability to not care if she's attracted to a man and just focus on what he does financially, she's always less loyal. Loyalty is really driven by a woman's attraction towards you. Yeah, that's the key ingredient. So you can get a woman, everyone can get a woman, but her loyalty will depend on how attracted she is to you over and above other men. Now, what Dubai does is attract a bunch of women that can forego attraction very easily, as long as he's giving her a lifestyle that she likes. The moment a woman is attaching more to what you provide than who you are and how she feels about you, the loyalty is decreased. And so that's what I noticed. There's a lot of lack of loyalty in the women in Dubai.
Why in Dubai in particular?
Because it's one of the countries where money really gets you far. And what I mean by that is I've been born and raised in London. And whether you're a millionaire or whether you live, I was a teacher before I went online, whether you're a millionaire or you're making £3,000 a month, you live the same lifestyle. It's raining every single day. It's not like you can get valet service everywhere you go. It's not like you can go get a yacht. You can't do
It's more egalitarian.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's limited. You might be able to go to a few better restaurants, but then when the weather's bad, like, everybody's at home. In Dubai, literally, as the money increases, the enjoyment and lifestyle per capita literally just increases in the exact same amount. So you see that a lot. And also there's a lot of competition amongst the women because there's so much wealth amongst them. So every woman kind of starts to feel like, oh, she's got a Bentley, she's got a Range Rover, where's mine? So there's that competition between the women as well. That's very heavy in Dubai that I don't see anywhere else. The competition is very material in Dubai. And I don't mean this to put anybody off, because there's so many successful, intelligent women in Dubai who have none of those values. But there is a subsect that does have those values, and that's why, particularly the beautiful women, they do have those values. So then that's why it's got a reputation of attracting those types of women.
Is that just a matter of mirroring each other?
Yeah, that is what it is. There is a huge portion of Dubai that nobody talks about, which is just regular people getting their hustle on, working really hard, meeting wonderful people, and getting married and settling down. There's loads of those. Those women that are really super materialistic are not matching with men that are lovely or adorable. They're matching with men that are sugar daddies. They're the men that go out there that never, aren't looking for a good relationship, but have money and they just want to buy women. They're matching their equivalents. So there's not like there's these evil sects of women that are just rampant. There's an equal amount of men that go there who have no desire to settle down, no desire to have a real relationship, just lead with money, and then they find each other perfectly.
The war basically continues. I was talking to someone, they said, oh, some new guy moved into Dubai and all my friends and I were chasing, oh, he hasn't been ruined yet.
Absolutely.
And probably vice versa.
Vice versa. It's absolutely in both ways. And in honesty, I find that if you are particularly successful, if you go into the nightlife side of things, it's hard to stay. I always say that for me, Dubai stops at 7 p.m. I enjoy my life and I enjoy everything, but I'm home by 7 or 8 p.m. After dark, and if you've got a certain amount of money and you go to certain places, the environment changes.
And that's one of the reasons why I came here. I never chose places based on where you can meet women or the most beautiful women. And yet I feel like I know guys who are great at meeting women, and they'll come to Kuala Lumpur and they'll totally disprove there's no attractive. Of course, there's attractive women here.
Beautiful.
You just can't go out to some bar on a pub street and just find women who are available to go home with you tonight.
What made you choose Kuala Lumpur?
I think people should choose cities based on where they just feel the best.
Yeah,
and then whether they're meeting people there, whether they're meeting people globally. If you're following our method, you have homes in different places. And so maybe you'll meet someone from that Eastern European culture who says, hey, you know what? I don't like where my country's going.
Yeah.
Or we were talking to someone from the Philippines. Hey, I don't like where my country's going. That person, I would imagine, is going to be open. And so that goes back to your point of finding someone who wants to follow you. Are you going to set the tone and lead? And
I felt the same way with Dubai. I know, it just suits me personally because I'm not in that world. I just found it suits me. I'm Muslim, so it's got that element to it. I love the sun. It suits me as a person. Now, so many people say, I don't want to move to Dubai because I won't find a husband, I won't find a wife. And I say that absolutely, that might be the truth for you, but at least you'll find a city that you like. Find a city you like and worry about that part afterwards. I know that sounds counterproductive, but choosing a city you like, worst case scenario, if you don't meet somebody, you still like your life.
One of my great friends, he says, you got to stop trying to date the most beautiful women in the world. I mean, perhaps, now you could say perhaps that they're not approached as much, but you could also say perhaps in a place like Dubai they are.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be harder for you. I mean, even look at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Was his argument. Giselle leaves Tom.
Imagine, and for jiu-jitsu, because here's the thing with really beautiful, I don't think there's a problem with anybody dating anyone that's really beautiful or not beautiful. I always just think the best relationships are when you both have you're both equal in terms of looks and appearance. And I know that's hard to do, particularly as you get more and more successful, because you're thinking, why would I can jump a few leagues. The only thing is that as we jump a few leagues as men and women in terms of appearance, the person with the most alternatives is always more likely to leave. And women always have more alternatives anyway. Like, even if you get an equally matched couple, the woman will probably have more DMs and more alternatives anyway. Now, you then conflate that with a significantly more attractive woman. The level of alternatives is just so much higher that it just becomes a harder relationship to maintain.
You do have to be, and this is possible, you do have to have some fame if you want to have any chance, I think, which is the ultimate aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
And there's something about being able to go somewhere and the man gets more attention because people know him than the woman. And watch how the woman reacts when that happens.
Well, I actually saw an interview with Steph Curry's wife, the basketball player, and she said, since I've been with him, which has been over 10 years, I see women throwing themselves at him. I've never had male attention, never, ever. And she goes, it's the weirdest experience when you go with a man and he gets all the attention, and you as a girl, even in your beautiful dress and gown, nothing happens. So I think that is the only way to even out the discrepancy in looks, if the man has enough status, so that they can match each other's level of alternatives. If one person has far more alternatives than the other, it can lead to a dissatisfaction. But if both people have high level of alternatives but choosing each other, then that relationship is lasting.
Which I think is a great litmus test for, is this a successful relationship?
Absolutely.
Is, can you both understand the other person has the alternatives, but do you feel comfortable
exactly
that person is loyal to you? And for me as a man, if a woman didn't feel that way, if she's uncomfortable, I think that's a problem, because what you see outside of the Western world is women actually think you can get other women.
Yeah.
I mean, in the West, the sitcoms are like, go out and go to a bar. See if any women will like you. Good luck.
What I find so hilarious is that I'll have, in the West, they're not wrong in saying that, because I'll sometimes have clients that come to me and they say, me and my wife haven't had sex in 8 years. And I was like, have you cheated? And he's like, no. And I was thinking, in other parts of the world, they will literally say, if you don't sleep with your husband for 6 months, he's going to go somewhere.
You broke
we're like, what are you talking about? If you don't sleep with him for a couple of months, he's going to go somewhere. Because in our head, we're like, men are men. They're not going to be loyal because they're just for the sake of being loyal.
Men are men, right?
Men are men. Everywhere else in the world accepts and understands men are men. So they're only loyal to you if they're getting something out of you.
People would say you're condoning bad behavior.
Well, I think it's bad behavior to deprive your partner of intimacy. I think that's bad behavior.
An unused monopoly.
Yeah, I think that's bad behavior, but on both ends. And I say this as a woman who probably, every woman does this at some stage or whatever it is. But I think that's bad behavior also. Why is only one side of the coin bad behavior? So when I have a client and he says to me, my wife hasn't slept with me in a year, or even it's the other way around, I've had women that say it to me,
sure,
my husband hasn't slept with me for a year or two, and the cheat is like the villain, but why isn't depriving intimacy villainous behavior? Now, everywhere else in the world, they think men are men. They realize that men have this testosterone that if you don't sleep with them, they're going to go somewhere. That's an unwritten rule around the world. It's only in America where they think that we're not going to sleep with you, you're not going to cook for you, we're not going to clean for you, but you better be loyal to us, because if you're not, we're going to humiliate you and defame you everywhere we go. That's unheard of in the rest of the world. They just think loyalty is a byproduct of a good relationship. Whereas in the West, it's loyalty first, and how I treat you is irrelevant. And if you're not loyal, I'm going to humiliate you and defame you, but I can treat you badly in so many other ways. So I think that's the key difference that I find is everywhere else understands if you don't have a connection with your partner, men or women, if you deprive them of that, they're going to go somewhere. Whereas in the West, cheating is just the only crime in a relationship. There's no other crimes.
What are the top 3 things that a man who wants to go somewhere better, not to hook up, but to actually find a meaningful relationship, what are the 3 things they need to know? I would say number 1 is you have to lead.
Yes, I would say look for 3 or 4 things. First thing is look for attraction. Mutual attraction is really, really important. One-way attraction might get you there. She might leave you for a little while, but loyalty is only really, really cemented in men and women when they're truly attracted to their partner. If either of them is truly missing it, you can stay together, but it will be missing intimacy. So the first thing is always to look at attraction. The second thing I would always say is look for people with similar family background. Now, what I mean by that is if you come from a broken home, they come from a broken home, at least you understand something. But if you come from a very intact family and there's a clear structure of a father, mother, everything, and you're picking somebody with a really broken home, they're not going to understand the roles of each person the way you were raised. And as a result, you're going to be fighting to get them to understand how a family works. Whereas if they come from a similar family background, everything is a bit more effortless.
Stop trying to fix everybody.
Stop trying to fix.
Say more things are just not a fit.
No, not a fit. So try and look for somebody with a similar family value set of values. And what I mean by values is, do you see right and wrong in the same way? Was it right that your dad did the cooking or your mum did the cooking and cleaning? Do you see right and wrong in the same way? If your family raised you to see right and wrong in a certain way, and somebody else's family raised them to see it complete opposite, you're going to be bumping heads over small things, almost everything. So try and look for somebody whose family raised them in a similar way. And the final thing I would say is, as a successful person who's going abroad and traveling and expats, all that stuff, try and look for a partner that has an identity with work, has a relationship with work. She doesn't have to be an entrepreneur or a CEO, but if she has no capabilities or no outside of the relationship, she might find it really difficult to understand when you've got business meetings or when you have to travel or when you can't be on the phone for hours. If she's got some identity outside of the relationship, whether that's a hobby, whether that's her own little business, whether it's, family, having kids, it gives her some.
And I would argue, ideally, maybe a father who was a provider, so that it's not, hey, you should always be selling your business and let's retire to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So she understood that kind of background where men would be busy. So I do think it's quite important to pick somebody who will understand that you won't always be available all day, every day. And she truly understands that when she has her own identity.
And can be comfortable with that, to be comfortable on her own. I've heard this from some folks in China. It's not important how much you love her. It's important that she loves you. It sounds like you don't agree with that.
No, I agree with that.
Do you?
My advice always to men is never focus on the woman that you're most madly in love with. Like, that's great, but that should be a byproduct of her love for you. You should actually pick a woman who's loving, loyal, caring, would be a great mother, and you're attracted to. She loves you a lot, and because she loves you a lot, you then dote on her and provide for her and give her a family and do a lot for her. But falling in love with a woman and then worrying about whether she likes you and trying to get is the wrong way around. It's always the wrong way.
There are no Serbian guys sitting around, I wonder if she likes me.
You'll never meet a man in Moldova who has to think, like, does she like me or not? He just picks a woman who really, really loves him. Yeah. And then because she loves him and is loyal to him and is great to him and great to his family, he's just like, okay, I'm going to provide for you, give you a family, whatever you want. Okay, done. But what the Western way is, pick a woman, get obsessed with that woman and try and convince her to like you back. Women's loyalty is instantaneous. And what I mean by that is the moment they like you, they can get obsessed and in love with you. If she's not like that with you, chances of her becoming like that is going to be very, very slim. So your best bet is to pick a woman who truly loves and attached to you. And because she's so loving and good to you, you reward her effectively. You give her a home, you give her a house, you give her children, you give her a life. But picking a woman and hoping she'll choose you when she's dating another guy and she's sleeping with this guy and you're trying to get loyalty out of a woman who's not truly invested in you is a zero-sum game. You're not going to win.
We want them to win. Sadia Khan, good to see you here in Malaysia.
Thank you.